Hey, Adrian, how's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, going great.
Sweet. Where are you at now?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So, talk about kind of your experience. I know we've gotten the chance to meet each other recently, and you have a lot of exciting projects under your belt, and even a few coming up. So, I like to use this platform just to have people talk about what they have going on and share their kind of experiences in the film industry. So, I'd love to hear
Okay.
from you with anything
Okay.
you got.
I mean, we're working on several features right now in pre-production, and that takes up the largest bulk of my time. Having two in pre-production simultaneously is very challenging. So I'm writing, but primarily we're checking off the boxes for pre.
Okay. Cool. Can you
Yeah.
talk about kind of the story of any of these projects? Is it super under wraps or?
No, no. One of them is a screenplay I wrote in 2017 and did quite well in the screenwriting competition and film festival circuit. Won some awards, one in Beverly Hills and such. And finally, over a period of years, I've got five feature screenplays that I haven't yet produced, including a couple that I have. But I've been wanting to make this film for a long time, and the screenplay has gotten some very positive feedback, so that's gratifying. And it's a redemption story. It's a washed up musician, and he's messed up his life, and he's just trying to get his life back in order. And also, he has a daughter, and he's trying to sort of preserve that relationship. And there's lots of adversity for him to go through to get all that done. And then the other project is something we started shooting as a pilot, 1 hour pilot episode. We started shooting it at the beginning of 2020, and of course COVID hit and the pandemic shut us down. So we shot about 20 minutes of that, and we're going to start. I've rewritten it as a feature, and so we're going to start shooting that July 12th of this year, 2023. And so we're excited about that because a lot of the people that were involved in that project were obviously very disappointed, and myself included, because it was going extremely well and we had great actors. And so that project is back on tap.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Has the sort of break allowed you to reevaluate some of the story points and strengthen it? I know a lot of COVID projects had that chance to kind of go back and tweak some things. How have you found that? Or as the loss in momentum kind of, was it hard to pick it back up then because of it?
No, I mean that's a great question, and the thing about when you're writing something or you're shooting something, whatever, you get so deeply involved in some things. It's at times you lose your objectivity because you're so close to the projects. And I have found whether it's a screenplay I've written uh, or a film that I've made, I once I'm away from it for a while, only positive things happen from being, to look at it with new eyes, with fresh eyes, and I have some objectivity, therefore, that I didn't have at the time. And I paint oil on canvas, so I mean, there's no painting I've ever done that I can't take off the wall, slap on an easel, and make it better. There's a point where you're like, okay, I'm done, So same with my last film, Oak on the Outside, which is on Amazon and Tubi and some other places. 11 months of editing and post production, and at this point, I could definitely do another edit. You and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
So as far as the third party, which is this political drama that we got shut down from COVID, and the script. No, actually, rewriting it at this point is been awesome. I really enjoyed diving back into something that was previously done and seeing it with new eyes, and therefore feeling very confident that I can make it better.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, you and I have talked about Oak on the Outside a lot. What was that process like, getting a film made in Charleston, South Carolina? I really want to talk this episode about the film community and just the area and what opportunities are here.
Yeah, Charleston's a beautiful city. When I first got here in 2003, it was a kind of a sleepy town, a small American city, and it has definitely blown up significantly. So it's a different place now than it was at one point in time. That said, it's not L.A., it's not Atlanta, it's not New York, it's not New Orleans. So although there's a wonderful group film community in this area that stretches from Savannah to Myrtle Beach to Charlotte, so the city itself of Charleston, quite frankly, a lot of the people that are involved in film projects are not necessarily living here in Charleston. Some people are willing to come a couple of hours from Savannah or from Myrtle Beach or from Charlotte or Columbia. So I think that the film community has also blossomed with the growth of the city, which again, a bomb's gone off, in the last 10 years, and the population and the traffic has seen it. So, but yeah, it's really starting to grow, and I think the things that you're doing too, with bringing people together and having people communicate more, that's been very helpful to me already. So you're taking the initiative to kind of say, okay, once a month we're going to have these meetings and get-togethers, and you picked a great spot for it, by the way. And I've enjoyed meeting people, and I think that's really helpful to everybody.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. I mean, it's really no work at all to make a Canva poster and say, "Hey guys, let's meet up. Let's meet up once a month." I keep joking. I do it for selfish reasons, but that's not true. I genuinely want people to just get together and work on projects. And there's so many really cool things that people have going on in the area. I really want to explore soon about how to get more funding, more grants, more investors in the area to make things here, because like you and I have talked about before, the location potential around the area is huge. There's so many different spaces and different looks in just a 20-minute radius of everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're so right about that. Of course, we have, we're coastal. We have the beach. Downtown Charleston is gorgeous. So many parts of that city still have the old 1700s, 1800s, 19th century feel to it, with the cobblestone streets and the pastel colored houses, and the harbor that, is very historic and looks out to Fort Sumter, which is very historic. And then you've got these marshes that are amazing, that go as far as the eye can see. And then you've got these sort of forest areas, and it really it offers a lot in regards to the kinds of locations that, you could shoot a film around, for sure.
Yeah. Are you, with your upcoming film, you're looking to film later this year, early next year, definitely in the Charleston area? Is there anywhere outside of that you see that you need to take the film to shoot to get a certain look?
Are you talking about Nicholas Venture?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nicholas Venture, that's the redemption story about the musician. When I'm writing sitting here in Charleston, I'm writing for this area.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I want it to look like a city with high-rise office buildings, that's a 2-hour drive to Columbia because you can shoot in downtown Columbia, which is a wonderful place to shoot for so many reasons. But the audience wouldn't know if they're in Chicago or some city like that. Not necessarily New York, but it's got that feel, right? So. Chicago, I've been there many times, and various other cities, and it has that kind of big city feel because of the high-rise office buildings and the way the streets are and so forth. But the one thing about South Carolina, and clearly why so many people shoot in Georgia or other places, LA, is the film credits.
Right.
I mean, if you shoot in the state of Georgia, you can get 30, maybe as much as 35%. So if you have $1 million budget, and once it's shot, your investors are getting $350,000 back, $300 to $350,000 back right out of the box before it makes any revenue. So we don't have that in South Carolina. Last I checked with the Film Commission here, and there's a great guy who runs the Film Commission in South Carolina, but even North Carolina, there's got Wilmington. And a big studio there has been around for decades, but their film credits are substantially better. So there are a few large projects that happen in this area from HBO and so forth. And my understanding in speaking with other indie filmmakers primarily is that they eat up all the film credits. So. Because there's not a high maximum of what's there. So it doesn't take very long for those film credits to get expired and eaten up by, let's say, a big project from HBO or some other larger production company. So that is the downside to, regardless of Charleston or anywhere else in the state of South Carolina, the film credits are not there yet. And I don't know if they will be. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a shame. I mean, hopefully one day we can get it to a place where they can compete with places like North Carolina, because, like we said, the potential is just huge. But I did want to mention, a fun fact that people listening that maybe aren't familiar with the area. You talked about high-rise buildings in Columbia. You just can't get that look downtown because of you can't build higher than the highest church steeple, right? So
that's correct.
You don't have high rises,
Correct.
Which is probably a good thing for a historic town like that, where you also can't alter a piece of land that's been there for
right.
X amount of years, to keep that southern charm. But it does also present a lot of kinks in the process if you're trying to get something done here. So.
Well, it depends on the kind of film that you're making, right? So, a lot of historical pieces have been made in the area. Costume films. But, if you want to write a gritty city kind of drama or film, you're not gonna do that here. They've preserved the beauty of the 18th and 19th century architecture with these buildings. It used to be that the architectural review boards in Charleston were very aggressive about, look, you want to put a new building on the peninsula downtown, it's got to look, like it was built in the 1800s or such. And, again, the last decade or so, I've seen some pretty ugly, boxy glass buildings. And I can only imagine how that got through, the people in charge, and that got approved because they're not in the tourist district. So maybe that's why, is that they're on the outline. But it used to be, if you were on the peninsula, which is considered downtown Charleston, you weren't putting anything anywhere as far as an office building or an apartment building that didn't look like it was exteriorly built in the 18 or 1900s. So anyway, yeah, if you want to, you want a gritty city cop film or something like that, you're going to Columbia, and that's the closest you're going to find.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you touched on this. I think you said this, but you consider yourself kind of a jack of all trades. You're good in a lot of areas in filmmaking. You made a movie, well, a feature film by yourself, which I can't even imagine that big of a daunting task. I would say that would completely change the way you make movies and I mean strengthen your skill set in every aspect of making movies, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had made a dozen short films to learn the process, and I was writing screenplays, and my screenplays have always done well in the screenwriting competition and film festival circuit. The thing that you need to know is, you can win in some very prestigious film festivals. I wasn't really. There's like tiers. There's like tier one festivals, which you've heard of: Sundance, South by Southwest, Toronto, Berlin,
Sure.
Cannes. But then there's robust second tier of festivals. That's those are highly respected as well,
Right.
and they've been around a long time and have big followings. And there's third tier and a fourth tier. Well, when I first started writing the screenplays, I wanted to know, am I good? So I started submitting to some of the more difficult competitions where they would maybe get 6, 7, 10,000, 12,000 submissions instead of like smaller ones that were getting 150. And when they did well, that was extremely encouraging to me when I was first starting out because I was just writing and hadn't picked up a camera yet. So, but a lot of the festivals, one of their promises to screenwriters is, man, we're going to get you in front of all these producers and production companies, and we're going to introduce you to all these people in LA, and then it's crickets. You know, aside from semifinalists, finalists, all that kind of thing, official selection here or there, and then you win, in some of these, you won. They got 10,000 screenplays worldwide, and you won. And they send you a little bit of money, which is great, but screenwriters want they want to move on. They want their stuff to be produced. So, quite frankly, years of submitting screenplays to these festivals and competitions, I just got tired of waiting. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy a camera, and I'm gonna buy lenses, and I'm going to obsessively study about cameras and lenses and lighting, and so I purchased quite a bit of equipment, and I started making shorts, like I said, and some other content, and then I wrote a feature, that was not that many locations and found some good actors, and I shot a one-man crew feature film that's an hour and 23 minutes. And that's the one that's still in post because, I have to overcome a lot of mistakes that I made. That was a huge learning experience, obviously, because I did everything myself, cradle to grave. And therefore, what a great learning experience, right? So there's nothing I haven't had to do on set. But would I rather have, some other person doing production sound who knows what they're doing? Absolutely. Would I rather have a highly experienced director of photography rather than me doing that job while simultaneously directing? Absolutely. I think I'm a good shooter. I think I've developed into someone who's a good shooter. But that's not really the point. The point is I want to focus on the talent and working with the actors. Because if I'm spending 50% of my time, lighting the set, lighting the actors, getting the shots right, the light and composition, and then also, having to direct the actors, then both of those jobs have suffered. So, regardless of that, I just got to a point where I'm going to make the films. I started my own production company, tried to build my reputation as someone who works hard and treats people with respect and enjoys their artistic visions and the collaboration of it. And so it's been growing nicely at this point, and the films have gotten distribution. The last two films have gotten distribution pretty widely on streaming, and they're doing very well. So, I just keep getting better, and that's where I'm at in it. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you definitely approach what you do from a storytelling perspective, like most filmmakers, which I can appreciate, especially with your knowledge in screenwriting. I mean, you taught a class for a long time, right? And so, I mean, understanding story structure and how to hit those narrative beats probably really help you even on set or in post as well, right?
Well, yeah, I've edited all of my films, and so for 10 years I've been editing, and that's really, it all informs each other. So when I'm directing and I'm shooting, I already can kind of see how that's going to be pieced together when I've got my wides, my mediums, my over the shoulders, my close ups, some special shots, some tracking shots, overhead, whatever, right? So I already see it as a editor as I'm shooting the film, directing and shooting. So that's been very helpful to do all those jobs, regardless of what happens when you shoot a feature-length film. It's an hour and 23 minutes as a one-man crew, and it'll kill you. But my goodness, what you learn from that, right? So, yeah, when I'm writing, then I can kind of see how it would be shot, and how the blocking will go and so forth. And then, as I'm directing, I'm thinking it like an editor as well. So it all kind of informs each segment of the filmmaking process.
Yeah. What would you say would be the biggest learning point from doing all of it yourself that you're going to apply to these projects that you have coming up? Like one mistake that you definitely won't ever make again when like approaching a project that big.
Yeah, well, most new filmmakers, they're so focused on, hey, I want to shoot with a red, or I want to shoot in 4K, and I want to shoot with this lens, and so they overlook that sound is actually more important than the video part of it. Now, I like the art, and I want my stuff to look beautiful, so I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's sound. I mean, nobody forgives bad sound. And so I've made that mistake, and almost everybody else who's new at it makes that mistake, is they're so, they're so ensconced in the thought of the, what cameras, what lenses, and how to, that's, it's important, but it's not as important as sound. And the other thing is casting. I'm sorry, but, you have to have great actors. They can't be, I mean, if they don't have screen presence, I've made this mistake over and over. Because, you're trying to get people to work for very little amounts of money or even free at times. And then you're like, well, then you accept. No, no, no. If you don't have really, really great actors who, when the camera is on them, the audience doesn't want to look away. They have the royal jelly. They have the X factor. It's called screen presence. You can't teach it. They can't learn it in acting classes. They either have it or they don't. And if you have actors on the screen, particularly if they open their mouth and say lines of dialogue, and they don't have that X factor, you're dead. So that's a huge mistake that I've made repeatedly. I don't mind making mistakes. I just don't want to keep making the same ones over and over. So I get really angry at myself when I keep making the same mistakes. But I can assure you that that's one that I'm not going to be making again. Yeah. I will find good actors. I will kill myself to find people with screen presence.
Yeah, and I would say that when somebody submits for an audition, it's that first 10 seconds, that first even maybe 30 seconds that really matters the most, that you know or you don't know as a casting director immediately based off of that, whether or not
Well,
they're good.
yeah, I mean, you look at their reel, right? And that's going to give you a really good feeling for whether they have it. Because, you know, the people who really have exceptional screen presence, the camera loves them. It's not about whether they're even physically attractive. Jack Nicholson, I don't care, he's 90 years old. You're not taking your eyes off that guy. All right. It's not about that. Philip Seymour Hoffman was not exactly a male model. It's not about attractiveness. It's there's something there. It's the X factor. They have it or they don't, and they can't learn it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. He was fantastic in The Master. I just recently rewatched that, and I had to mention that. What an incredible performance and movie. A weird one, but definitely memorable. So, yeah. In terms of your project coming up, how are you going about finding the right people to join the project? I mean, I know you have people that you've worked with before that you trust, that you know will do a good job, but I also know there's a lot of people in the Charleston community that want to learn and get involved and help out in whatever we have in the area. How would you say is a good way to stay connected, to network, to
You know,
get involved?
yeah, you're doing, you know, your networking events are, I think, helping, you know, a lot of people connect. That's what it's for, and I don't know. I guess I haven't done enough of that. I shy away from small groups of people. So you know, I guess this last project, I just put it out there that I'm doing it, and maybe because it's been a decade of me doing things, and but people are coming out of the woodwork. It's been amazing. I spend a lot of time every day now just communicating to people, sending me emails. It's tough to keep up, to be honest, which is a good problem to have. But my name's out there now, and people know that I've got feature films that are on, been distributed. And I asked several people, why are you willing to work for either very low money or free on a feature length project? And several of them said, because you finish. And there's so many people that start projects and they don't finish. And we're not talking about a 3 to 5 minute short film here. You know, I mean, you bought the whole can of whoop ass when you're, doing something that's an hour and 20 to 2 hours. I mean, I had a friend who made a short film, and it was really great. I mean, I really loved it. And it was somewhere around 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. I can't remember, but I really thought he did a great job. And he sent it to me and said, well, what do you think? And I'm like, dude, I mean, great job. I really enjoyed it. And he's like, I'm thinking about making it into a feature. And I'm like, that is a great idea. Now you only need to do 90 more of those.
Exactly.
And I haven't heard from him since. But that's the thing that people, they don't, when you jump from the shorts, you jump from doing TV commercials and weddings and some things like that, and you jump from that to the big boy, and that's why you get the most respect from either being a DP or a director or a writer or actor. When you're in a feature film, I mean, that's it, right? So that's now you're in the show. Now you made the major leagues, right? It's just so taxing, and it's all problem solving, and it's extremely difficult. I've never done anything anywhere near as difficult.
That was going to be my next question: is what do you get out of it? What about how challenging it is? Do you feel like is rewarding at the same time?
Well, I guess that's a good question. Since I was a child, I've been writing and drawing and painting, and I played music. I started playing guitar when I was 10, and I really loved the arts, right? So And then, you know, in my early 20s, I met my wife, and we got married, and we had 3 children, and I got a corporate job, and I did that for 30 plus years, and worked really hard, and it went well, and I, you know, was able to make a good income. And then, you know, about 10 years ago or so, I, you know, just said, look, you know, I want to get back to the arts, and probably retired a little earlier than I should have, but we're living on the interest, and some, I got a small pension, and you know, we all have one shot on this spinning rock, and I love writing. I love film. I've always loved movies, and you know, you get the bug with the movies. That's the thing, is that I still draw, and I'm alone. I paint, and I'm standing at an easel, and I'm alone, and I play music and all that, and I'm fine with that. I enjoy it. But the collaborative, you know, environment of working with other artists is, I think, to me, that's the bug. I mean, you know, when you're on a film set, and it's the right group of people, it's a family. I mean, you just feel so, you're working these long hours, and you know, and eating together, so I don't know. I'm just not sure, outside of certain sports, if there's a higher adrenaline rush, you know, than being on set with wonderful actors and technicians who are passionate. You know, they're all, everybody there is just, you know, if you're with the right group, right, then everybody's just like incredibly passionate about what you're doing, and wants it to be great, you know. So not everybody. There's just people. There's some people there. It's just a paycheck to them. They're getting a day rate, whatever, which is a little odd to me. You can make more money, generally speaking, you know, somewhere else. But yeah, I want my films to make money, but primarily, to be honest, I don't need the money. I want it to make money because in our world, something that is profitable means it's successful, right? So the more revenue, the more profit a film makes, that means the more people that have seen it. That means it's done well. And then you also then get to share that with the actors and the crew. And, you know, I mean, there's nothing better than sending a paycheck, an extra check to, you know, people that don't really expect it on the back end. Because when you say, okay, I'm going to pay you on back end, you know, they snicker, and I'll never see anything, you know, and that's not the reputation I want to build. You know, I want everybody to get the money, you know. I mean, I'd like to make a few extra bucks as well, and, you know, I'm not adverse to that, of course, but that's not why I'm doing it. You know, it's, quite frankly, it's not enough money for me. You know, the money I'm making on the films is not enough money to keep doing it. I could make a lot more money doing other things. I was a corporate officer for a long time. So I do it because I love making art. I do it because I love making art in a collaborative way with other artists. And that's really, you know, the 1,000 times I've quit in the middle of editing and staring at a computer all day, every day for 11 or 12 months. I'm like, what am I doing, man? You know, what was I thinking?
I know it can be frustrating at times too, but once you see that end product, it just, something about it makes it all feel worth it. And I know you're going to do great with Nicholas Venture. You have an amazing story, a great script on your hands, and so I wish you luck with the whole production. And if you're in the Charleston area, definitely or not, check out Adrian's work and stay up to date with this project. But I appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this.
Plug the website. It's shadowmossentertainment.com.
And there you go. Check it out. I'll link it down below as well. But
awesome.
But thanks, Adrian. It's great to talk to you as always, and I'm sure I'll see you very soon. So.
All right. Appreciate it.